Okay, so you have that boot camp, and if any of you have ever been to boot camp, you can tell me, but and confirm it. Shoot, we're not in a classroom, but if we were in a classroom, you'd be able to tell me that boot camp is there for humiliation, right? You go there; it's not an enjoyable experience. This is why hazing used to be done by fraternities, right? The goal in this liminal phase, it's not just to weed out the weaklings. The point is not necessarily that you fail, although some people do get there and can't take whatever demands of boot camp are and leave and don't graduate into the group, into the military or into the fraternity or whatever. But the point of painful initiations is not necessarily um, to weed people out. It's more to create an esprit de corps. Let's put that in here. Um, there it is. Ha! Esprit de corps. See, I didn't even have to write it down. So an esprit de corps is a feeling of sharing a common spirit with the other members that promotes those social bonds. So the goal is to make the members of the group feel like they are closer than family members, closer than siblings. You're closer than a brother. And why is that important? Well, if you're in the military, that's very important because military people are like first responders, right? They're shooting, and instead of running away from the violence, you run toward it. You're on a little hill. There's 50 of you, and there's like 1,000 of the enemy, and you have to hold that hill for the next 2 hours while those people try to come and kill you. And you have to hold it for 2 hours, or many people will die. You have to organize either reinforcements to come in or the withdrawal of the troops who are in danger. Thousands of people who could lose their lives if you don't hold that hill. You have to hold that position. So these people are coming at you, shooting at you, trying to kill you, and the goal is for you to stay. And you don't stay at that point because you love America. You don't stay because you're fighting for the families back home. You're in the middle of nowhere, right? You're in Afghanistan. They're not a threat to back home. You're on the battlefield. So the reason why you stay there and you fight is not for your patriotism. It's not for your love of family or love of America or love of apple pie and all the rest. Your love there is for the guy next to you or the woman on the other side who are also fighting and defending you. So you are there for them, and they are there for you, and that's why you both die together, or face the threat of death. Obviously, the goal is not to die, but the threat is real, and the only thing keeping you from running in the opposite direction is your social tie to the person next to you, and that social tie was made during boot camp. You are members of the group, and you have that esprit de corps, that social solidarity, because of that experience of initiation. Okay. So incorporation, after the ritual is over and the initiate comes through on the other side, they're changed forever. I have friends, family members, etc., who are Marines, and even though they served their time and got out, they're still always a Marine. You're always going to be changed by that experience. But they're also an ordinary rank and file member of the community. They're also in the Marines in a way that someone just in the Army or the Air Force is never going to have the same kind of identity. And it's the same for everyone. So the functions of the rite of passage, the rites of passage have these sociological, pedagogical, cosmological, and mystical functions. The sociological function is to create that social solidarity, to create love and honor as we get it when we go through the Miami experience. Pedagogical, to teach kids how to adult. A lot of times these initiation ceremonies involve practical teaching of everyday life skills. How to skin a deer, or how to shoot a gun or whatever. Um, how to drive a car. It's important. Cosmological, to explain why the world works the way it does, to have everything make sense. This is why you always heard this when you were a kid. I always taught you this, and here's why. This is what's actually happening. This is what you're seeing is how the world really works. And then mystical, a lot of times these are moments away from ordinary life. You're separated out from an ordinary space. You're off in nature. You're on a mountaintop. You're in some kind of cabin or out in the woods with your age mates. And sometimes there's moments of contemplation, moments of figuring out where you fit in this world. So the mystical function of religion, that was the pedagogical function. Uh, they're all collapsing in on one another. Finally, the mystical function is the perennial philosophy, the idea of real freedom. Religions tend to involve a sense of profound awe, wonder, and ecstasy. So there's five elements. This is an argument. I'm not sure it really holds water, but we can have it for here. Five elements. The common in many religions will say they're not universals, but there's in many religions there's a sense of transcendence. There's something bigger than us individually or even corporately. There's something bigger than that, even bigger than reality, even bigger than the natural universe, etc. Separation. There's an idea of separation that there's something that distances us or separates us from the transcendence of the ultimate reality. And then there's an idea of reunification. This is how we can overcome this distance. When you feel separated out or separated away, how can you overcome it? That's what religion is here to teach you. And then purpose. This reunification becomes the goal of existence. Again, I think this is somewhat betraying a what was it? Where belief does not matter. This enlightenment, non-enlightenment duality of Hinduism. But hey, we'll go with it. So reunification, this enlightenment or understanding or something like that is the goal of existence, and then the law. There are paths to follow. There are rules that must be kept if you're going to fulfill your purpose and reunify with ultimate reality. Nature default setting. This is David Foster Wallace, the novelist. In one of his most famous speeches, he gave a commencement address, and it was just incredibly profound. He said, that we have a default setting from when we're born. This idea that I am always right. If you get back to my idea of identity, right? Who am I? If I'm going to trust my own perceptions, my own feelings about the world, I will have to conclude that I'm always right. If I look at the world from my own perspective, behind my own two eyes, it looks to me like I'm the center of the universe. And because I can do it, I can go through this world never ever thinking about what thinking is. Then it confirms my bias that I don't need to think about how to think. And so when religion works well, according to David Foster Wallace, it promotes maturity and responsibility, counteracting these default settings and resulting in growth. And that is where we're going to end religion. Thanks very much. See you next week.